Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy, arriving. Captain, United States Navy, retired, arriving. Third Fleet, arriving. Color Guard, parade the colors.
Okay, colors. Ready, right, take it. Forward, march.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. Color Guard, retire the colors.
Order, arms. Ready, two, right, face. Forward, march.
Side boys, post. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Jerome Hinson, Chaplain Corps, United States Navy, will now offer the invocation.
Let us pray. Creator Father, who first breathed in us the life that we received, by power of thy breath restore the ill and those with wounds of war. Bless them who give their healing care, that life and laughter all may share. That verse from Eternal Father, the Navy hymn, O Lord, sums up a life lived in devotion to the hard work of creating health for individual sailors, their families, our nation, and the world. We give you thanks for this moment in time whereby we can celebrate with Patty and her family the conclusion of her naval service. Thank you for gathering so much of her family here today to join in the military honors and ceremony that mark this occasion. Be with us, Sovereign Lord, and fill this place with an awareness that our response to the gift of life ought be the crafting of a life story filled with virtue and service. As one chapter closes, so another begins. Help us to celebrate and look forward with joy and laughter. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Today's retirement ceremony for Lieutenant Commander Serrano is part of the rich heritage and naval tradition. The ceremony is an expression of appreciation for a job well done, a sincere official recognition of courageous and honorable service. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Commander Serrano will now introduce the guest speaker, Captain Retired Pete Cedar.
Captain Pete Cedar was my boss from my days at the Dental Command. When he first arrived, he was the executive officer and I was the admin officer. After a while, our command was absorbed within the hospital and he became the director for the dental directorate and I was his medical administrative officer. During this time, we became a well-oiled machine working together to achieve the goals for the dental community. What I learned about him is that he worked tirelessly for always doing the right things, a virtue that I truly admire. His passion for the Navy and fleet is admirable and contagious. You made me a better person, a better administrator, and a better officer. Thank you for always being there to help me move in more ways than I could ever repay. Since the days at Dental, Pete has become a good friend of our family, and I'm honored here to have him as my guest speaker. Please welcome Captain Pete Cedar.
I am standing up. Can't see me. I can stand up so you can see me. Thank you, Patty, for those remarks. And you sure you don't want to change your mind? Vice Admiral Beeman, Captain Byrne, Tony, Nick, Adam, and distinguished guests. And I just noticed in the audience Donna McKenzie. And for all of those who may not be part of the medical arena, she's been at the hospital for just years and is an Admiral Secretary. And if you think for 1 minute that she works for the Admiral works for Donna. And if you want anything done, that's the lady that I used to go to and many go to. She's a wonderful lady, and I'm so glad you're here. Just the fact that you're here says a lot about Lieutenant Commander Serrano. It's truly an honor for me to stand before you on the occasion of Lieutenant Commander Serrano's retirement from active duty after 26 years plus of honorable service. When Patty asked me to say a few words, I was taken aback. I reminded her that I'd been retired for 5 years. What did she expect me to say? And better yet, what did she expect me to wear? She said, a suit. I said, a suit? I don't even have a suit or one that fits. And again I reminded her that I'm retired. Just think of flip-flops and shorts. That's what I wear. And I said, how about a uniform? And she said, yeah, you could wear your uniform, but I've never seen anybody do that, so here I am in my sport coat. Before I continue, I need to address Patty's immediate family that is here today, Tony and Nick. Tony's a retired Seabee who met Patty while he was deployed to Diego Garcia. Patty was there as a corpsman with the Naval Support Facility, Diego Garcia. They got married upon their return to San Diego. Nick was born at Balboa Naval Hospital and graduated from Valhalla High School. They're all retiring from active duty today. Patty's brother, Adrian, who's not here today, deployed to Kosovo as an Army reservist. And I thank him for his service. Patty's mother was not able to make it today. Her father is no longer here with us, but I am sure that he's a proud man today. Speaking as a former detailer, co-locating a Seabee and a Corpsman is not easy. But they managed to complete full careers because of the support that they lent each other. Patty, let me take you back to when you came on active duty. What was going on in the world? The Space Shuttle Challenger had just disintegrated with all 7 crew members dying. The Iran-Contra affair was brought to light. President Reagan ordered economic sanctions and air raids over Libya. Iran was fighting Iraq. Egyptian police were rioting in the streets. Congress voted for tax reform. Microsoft held its initial public offering. The Mets beat the Red Sox in the World Series. The Bears beat New England in the Super Bowl. Stamps were 22 cents. Gas cost less than $10 a barrel. But last but not least, the movie Top Gun premiered. Some things have changed, others have not. Patty did not have to come into the Navy in 1986. She volunteered. That in and of itself tells you that she's a certain type of person. Promising material for sure. Answering the call is not a career move, but an act of the heart. We recruit fabulous folks from all walks of life. In many cases, their backgrounds don't encourage them to be successful, or they don't create the opportunities for them. We are able to get them in the Navy and very quickly develop in them a sense of responsibility, a sense of family, and make them believe that they can do great things. It's exciting to watch the transition of a sailor. It's great to create winners. Patty went on to boot camp in Orlando and thought she was going to be an intelligence specialist. But she lost a coin flip and went to Corpsman A School in Great Lakes instead. Subsequently was assigned to Balboa, transferred to Diego Garcia, back to Balboa, transferred to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, where on her own time she pursued her bachelor's degree while attending Chaminade University and Wayland Baptist University. She was transferred back to the Naval School of Health Sciences, and on her own time she earned her BA in Operations Management from National University. She was then commissioned an ensign in the Medical Service Corps via the In-Service Procurement Program, and spent the next 2 years earning her master's degree in public health at San Diego State University. Her utilization tour was with the Naval Dental Center Southwest, and that is where I first met her. I think she got there in 2003. I got there in 2004 as the XO. She was the admin officer for the command and had a tiny office in the back of the admin spaces. Unless you needed to see her, you pretty much did not. But I did see her product often, and it was outstanding. Naval Dental Center Southwest was the largest dental command in the Navy, responsible for the clinics in San Diego, as well as Monterey, Lemoore, Port Hueneme, Point Mugu, China Lake, and Fallon, Nevada. Big job for an MSc officer, and one right out of school. She was great, tough enough for any job, bold enough to challenge the rules, and detailed enough to pull it off with the energy to see it through. Her thumbprints were all over Naval Dental Center San Diego, Southwest. Her work ethic reminded me of John Wooden's famous quote, "Be quick, but don't hurry. Never mistake activity for achievement. And failing to prepare is preparing to fail." In 2005, medical's hostile takeover of dental happened. I'm just kidding. It was not, and I can easily say today that I'm glad that it happened, especially when you consider what is going in the military and what's going in the Navy today. Captain Hotto was the CO at Naval Dental Center, and he transferred to Navy Medical West. I became the director for dental services, and our admin department was just decimated. Patty was the only MSc officer that remained to help with the transition, and this played into her strengths. Patty wanted to make things better, and to do this, she knew that she would need to embrace this change. She empowered those around her, provided guidance when needed, let them make decisions, and got the job done. She demanded their best effort, and they would not allow themselves to let her down. Patty did not do more with less, but rather did the best she could with what she had. She walked the talk and loved to excel. Allow me this sidebar to give you an idea where we were at the beginning of this transition. Dental is all about readiness, as you well know. Aviator friends of mine in Norfolk used to joke about going to the club on Fridays and talking about parking and dental readiness. But readiness in medical refers to staff readiness. And in dental, it refers to readiness of the troops. So at the beginning of this transition, we're talking to each other, didn't know what we were talking about different things, but we figured it out eventually. And I've come a long way since those days. In 2006, Patty transferred to Fleet Surgical Team 3, and that is, again, when I really realized what she meant to us on the dental side. Few things are more important to an organization than people who have the moral courage to question, when appropriate, the direction in which the organization is headed, and then have the strength of character to support whatever decisions are made. Patty did that, and for that, I was very grateful. Patty's story is what makes the Navy great. Here we had a young 18-year-old high school graduate from West Jefferson, Ohio, wondering what she was going to do for the rest of her life. She was attracted to the Navy, but did not have a guaranteed A school. Joined anyway and just went with the flow. Told you about that coin flip. She became a corpsman. She obviously did well and was encouraged by her superiors, some of who are here today, to get her college degree and to apply to become an MSc officer. She didn't stop with her BA, got her master's, and went on to have a stellar career. Patty never forgot from where she came from or forgot about the leaders she encountered that led her, guided her, and encouraged her to where she is today. She tried to do the same for those that worked for her. She was living proof to them that you can do what you set out to do, that there is no substitute for hard work. You know, enlisting in the military won't make you rich, fatten your resume, or bring material gains that dazzle society. It may make you better, though, and it will bring you closer to the heart of this country. For your service, you will not only develop values and perspective, you will make the country fairer and stronger. Then in your middle age, you can be a part of a new elite, a civilian leader who understands the armed forces. Electing to remain on active duty for 26 plus years takes tremendous commitment, sacrifice, and many times there is tension between duty and conscience. It's not about money, it's about giving something back to your country. See, this is not really just a job. When we elect to serve our country and we recite the oath, we agree to defend the Constitution of the United States, even with our life. Patty, I know that today you're not really retiring. Perhaps, as the late Junior Seau put it, you're graduating from the military to the private sector. At this time, I would like to share an email that I received a few weeks ago. It is titled, Veteran to Veteran. When a veteran leaves the job and retires to a better life, many are jealous. Some are pleased, and others who may have already retired wonder if he knows what he is leaving behind. Because we already know. We know, for example, that after a lifetime of camaraderie that few experience, it will remain as a longing for those past times. We know in the military life there is a fellowship which lasts long after the uniforms are hung up and put in the back of the closet. We know even if he throws them away, they will be on him with every step and breath that remains in his life. We also know how the very bearing of the man speaks of what he was and in his heart still is. These are the burdens of the job. You will still look at people suspiciously, still see what others do not see, or choose to ignore, and always will look at the rest of the military world with a respect for what they do, only grown in a lifetime of knowing. Never think for one moment you're escaping that life. You're only escaping the job and merely being allowed to leave active duty. So what I wish for you is that whenever you ease into retirement, in your heart you never forget for one moment that you're still a member of the greatest fraternity the world has ever known. Now, on a lighter note, I'm going to make some comparisons between civilian friends and veteran friends. Civilian friends, they get upset if you're too busy to talk to them for a week. Veteran friends are glad to see you after years and will happily carry on the same conversation you were having the last time you met. Civilian friends have never seen you cry. Veteran friends have cried with you. Civilian friends keep your stuff so long that they forget it's yours. Veteran friends borrow your stuff for a few days and give it back. Civilian friends know a few things about you. Your veteran friends could write a book with direct quotes from you. Civilian friends will leave you behind if that's what the crowd is doing. Veteran friends will stand by you no matter what the crowd does. Civilian friends are for a while. Veteran friends are for life. Civilian friends have shared a few experiences. Veteran friends have shared a lifetime of experiences no citizen could ever dream of. Civilian friends will take your drink away when they think you've had enough. Veteran friends will look at you stumbling all over the place and say, "You better drink the rest of that before you spill it," and then carry you home safely and put you in bed. A veteran, whether active duty, retired, served one hitch, reserve, or National Guard, is someone who at one point in their life wrote a blank check made payable to the government of the United States of America for an amount of up to and including my life. From one veteran to another, it's an honor to be in your company. Thank you for your service to our country and defending the freedoms we enjoy. Patty, you have accomplished a great deal in your Navy career. You have poured out your heart and your soul into the organization and into every single person in your organization. And I want to thank you on behalf of all your shipmates. In closing, let us be of one accord. Let us stand proud and let us be the human shields of prayer, encouragement, and support for our President, our troops, their families, and our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Lieutenant Commander Serrano, please join Vice Admiral Beeman in front of the podium. Vice Admiral Beeman will now present Lieutenant Commander Serrano with several recognitions for her 26 years of faithful service. Will the military guests please rise? Attention to award. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Meritorious Service Medal to Lieutenant Commander Patricia R. Serrano, United States Navy, for service set forth in the following citation. For outstanding meritorious service while serving as Deputy Fleet Surgeon, Commander, U.S. 3rd Fleet from October 2009 to February 2013, Lieutenant Commander Serrano revolutionized the training and certification of medical assets by developing a medical evaluation tool based on the Mission Essential Task List for amphibious ready groups, vastly improving the readiness of medical departments prior to deployment. Lieutenant Commander Serrano's superior performance of duties highlights the culmination of 26 years of honorable and dedicated service. Her exceptional professionalism, personal initiative, and loyal devotion to duty reflected great credit upon her and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. For the President, G.R. Beeman, Vice Admiral, United States Navy, Commander, U.S. 3rd Fleet. Vice Admiral Beeman will now present Lieutenant Commander Serrano with a Certificate of Appreciation from the President of the United States. Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America, presented to Lieutenant Commander Patricia Serrano. I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history, with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. Your commitment and dedication have been an inspiration for those who will follow in your footsteps, and for all Americans who join me today in saluting you for a job extremely well done. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Barack Obama, Commander-in-Chief. Vice Admiral Beeman will now present Lieutenant Commander Serrano with a letter from the former President of the United States, George W. Bush. Presented to Lieutenant Commander Serrano, United States Navy. Congratulations on your retirement from the United States Armed Forces. I am proud to have served as your Commander-in-Chief, and I am pleased to join your family, friends, and colleagues in recognizing your career and accomplishments. Throughout history, the dedicated men and women of our military have protected our citizens and preserved the ideals that make our country strong. Their courage and sacrifice have inspired countless people and have helped shape Americans' character. On behalf of a grateful nation, I thank you for your contributions to our security and to the cause of peace and freedom. Your service, patriotism, and selfless devotion have helped advance the universal hope of liberty at home and around the world. Laura and I send our best wishes for health and happiness in the years ahead. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless America. Sincerely, George W. Bush. Lieutenant Commander Serrano has also been presented certificates of appreciation for service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America from the Honorable Jerry Brown, Governor of California, the Honorable John Kasich, Governor of Ohio, Rear Admiral Terry Moulton, Chief of Medical Service Corps, and Master Chief Sherman Boss, Force Master Chief of the Bureau of Medicine and Surgery. Lieutenant Commander McGinnis, please escort Lieutenant Commander Serrano's family to the center stage. Vice Admiral Bremen will now present a certificate of appreciation to Lieutenant Commander Serrano's husband, Tony Serrano. Certificate of appreciation from the United States Navy. To all who shall see these presents, greetings to Tony Serrano. By the authority vested in me, it is my pleasure to express the grateful appreciation of the United States Navy to you for your unselfish, patriotic, and devoted service during your wife's military career. Your unfailing support and understanding helped me immeasurably to make possible her lasting contribution to the nation. To those who say a single woman cannot make a difference, I say wrong. Your wife did. She made our Navy stronger and kept our nation safe. With her service to the Navy now complete, she will be able to spend more time with you in the future. The United States Navy thanks you, and I thank you. Signed, G.R. Beeman, Vice Admiral, United States Navy, Commander, U.S. 3rd Fleet. Vice Admiral Beeman will now present certificate to the Fleet Reserve Certificate. From the Fleet Reserve of the United States Navy. This is to certify that Lieutenant Commander Patricia R. Serrano was transferred from active duty to the Fleet Reserve of the United States Navy on the first day of March 2013 after 26 years of service. This certificate is awarded as a testimonial of faith and honorable service. Signed, G.R. Beeman, Vice Admiral, United States Navy, Commander, U.S. 3rd Fleet. Thank you, Admiral Beeman. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Lieutenant Commander Patricia Serrano.
I just have to get ready here for a second. It's going to be one of those days. No doubt about that. Now you know why I picked and Pete Cedar to be my guest speaker. We're so much alike, and you know I heard you tearing up there a little bit, and I think that's going to happen to me a little bit too. Vice Admiral Beeman, Cause, Captain Cedar, my family and special friends, thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to make this a momentous occasion for me. Many of you have traveled great distances, and I'm humbled and honored that you go through all the trouble for me. I'm going to start by thanking those who gave their time and energy to make this day happen. Thank you to the crew who set up everything for today, the dining facility staff who is managing the reception, to Piazza Qui and Lieutenant Commander Maribel for getting the programs printed on time, to the admin staff who superbly expedited all the associated retirement papers to FC1 Boyahan for going above and beyond and gathering the necessary signatures for the certificates and for getting my flag flown. To the PAO's office for the photography and videography service. To FC3 Sanchez, who picked up the catered food. To my friends who graciously agreed to participate in this ceremony. To the corpsmen and officers of the flag ceremony. To Chief Strickland, who made the most awesome sea chest. And to Jonathan Millen, our great friend who led this event from the start. I could not have done this without you, and I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. After 26 years of service, I can't believe I'm actually retiring. In fact, there's probably a lot of you from long ago who wouldn't believe that this day would have arrived. If you had known me back in high school, actually there's a few people who actually know me from back then, they could vouch why it would be hard for them to have predicted this moment. Back then, entries in my yearbook described me as always laughing, goofy, crazy, funny. And a term most often used to describe me, I will admit, is dizzy. I was just an easygoing person who enjoyed life and having fun with friends. Speaking of these friends, I want to thank Sandra and Melissa for your friendship that spans most of my life. So I'm going to give you a little history here. My career all started back in 1986 when I was this crazy person who liked to have fun, lived for playing in the band with my friends Sandra and Melissa and one other person, Captain John Lefevre. Is Captain Lefevre here? Did he make it? There you are. Sorry, I didn't see you walk in. I've been trying to eyeball you. So all three of us were back in high school together playing in the band. I had mentioned to the band over there that I had played one of those, actually two of the instruments, trumpet and clarinet. So it's a fond memory of mine. So during my senior year, all of my friends had big plans and they were all headed off to school. I, on the other hand, seemed to be adrift and couldn't decide on a major that I had a hard time envisioning myself doing beyond the school life. Being that I was from the small rural town of West Jefferson, Ohio, I hadn't been exposed to any military people to inspire me, so I didn't give that a second thought as an option. In fact, during my junior year, when they herded all the juniors to the lunchroom to take the ASVAB, which is an aptitude test to see if you're suited for military service, I decided to sneak off and go off to choir practice while everybody else stayed in that room and took the test. I thought it was ridiculous for me to have to take a test that wasn't going to benefit me, so I thought choir was more important at that time. During my senior year, they actually tracked me down. They found out that I hadn't taken the test. They herded me into the lunchroom with all the juniors, so here I was really annoyed that I was a senior that was sitting in a room with juniors still taking a test that I didn't think was going to benefit me. I circled the bubbles as fast as I could to get out of there. I came to learn later how important that test was for me because it determines which career fields you're qualified for. I mention this because my experience may actually have been what put that little bug in me to think that the military might be something that I could do. I didn't spend too much time thinking about it though. Remember I mentioned that I didn't have too much military exposure, and my view of what the military was like was a bit skewed. I grew up watching MASH, had visions of people running around in military fatigues, carrying their guns with them everywhere, and looking for the next fight. Early one day in early 1986, I was on my way to my waitressing job at Friendly's, where I work with Sandra and Melissa, and I looked up at a billboard, and there was this big recruiting sign up there. I think it did something to my mind. I continued on my way to work, and I think at that point it put a bigger bug in me. I don't know how much time had actually passed, but at some point I actually found myself at that recruiting office. I walked in and it was a big anteroom. Up on the left side of the wall was this big Air Force plane. I don't know what their saying was at the time, but they had some kind of saying motto behind it. On the right side was some other kind of stuff up there describing the other services, and there was a stand that had some pamphlets in there, and there was a long hallway, kind of like this. This is a big anteroom and a big long hallway. 2 doors to the left down at the end, and then 2 doors to the right are the 4 different services that were represented. I could hear people down there, but I just could not bring myself to walk down there. I was scared to death. I mean, I didn't want to, go up and approach these big military guys with their guns and say, "Hey, What do you got to offer me? So I stood outside waiting in the anteroom and still couldn't work up the nerve, but I couldn't leave because I knew that for some reason this might be my calling. So I sat there and I said to myself, all right, whoever comes out and talks to me first, that's the service I'll join. Okay, so you all get that some Navy sailor dude came walking down that hallway and took me into his office, and that's how I ended up joining the Navy. My parents gave me their blessing, and I signed my enlistment papers in April of '86, and the following month they released Top Gun. My friend Sandra and I went off to the movie theaters, not to see Top Gun. We went off to see some other movie, and we can't recall which movie it was. But, you know, they show the previews at the beginning, and they flashed, you know, Top Gun, and we didn't think about it twice. We just looked at each other and said, we know that's playing here, let's go find it. And we sat in there and watched a truly remarkable movie, and, you know, at that point, I knew that, okay, the military is not going to be toting guns or whatever. I'm going to be having some fun. There's another interesting story about how I came into the healthcare field. I think Pete kind of mentioned a little bit of it. So the recruiter, when they took me into the office, what they do is they offer you this big book, and it has the ratings listed there, and under each of the ratings is listed a paragraph that kind of describes what that rating is. I couldn't decide. I was, you know, because I kept asking them, I said, what am I going to be doing? Tell me, like, day to day. I just need it in my mind. I need to know what I'm going to be doing from the moment I walk into work until I leave. Just give me some general idea. They couldn't do that to satisfy me, so he thought it was best for me to stay undesignated as a general seaman. Some of you who know what that's like to be undesignated general seaman know that that's probably not a good idea. But I went for it anyway because I didn't know any better. My time to start for boot camp was given in December of '86. At that time, they had less seats for women coming in to attend boot camp, so I had to wait a lot longer than some of the other military guys that were signing up to go. My friends were already off to school, and I was just still working at Friendly's, waitressing, and I wanted to get on with my life. So I told the recruiter, I said, I want to go if there's something that comes up. And he said, I'll call you if something comes up. That was April. So here I am waiting until December for my seat. In September 2nd, I get a phone call from the recruiter. He said, guess what? I said, what? He said, we have something for you. We're going to actually get you in sooner. I said, that's great. He's like, wait a second. There's a catch to that. He said, you have to change from being a general seaman to a general airman. Well, no big difference because, you know, I really wasn't tied to that other rating. So I agreed to that. He said, wait, there's another catch. You have to go, and in 2 days you have to leave. Well, I've been waiting to leave, and I knew that that's exactly what I wanted to do. So off I went to boot camp, and I graduated October 31st of 1986. Sat around for a couple weeks waiting for my airman school to start up, and they offered me a chance to redesignate. So now I have a little bit of experience, you know, graduate of boot camp, and thought I might be able to figure out a career choice. And they said, come to this office at this time, and there was another girl that they had sent for, and we were both sitting there talking to the reclassifier, and they gave us the books to look at, and she and I were kind of talking. I noticed this IS, read the intelligence specialist description. I said, that sounds really cool. I can see myself doing that. And the girl, to my chagrin, said, I think that's cool. I'll do that too. So the person there, the reclassifier said, I think the best choice to do at this point is to do the coin toss. And you know, I haven't been an intelligence specialist, and so I lost that coin test. At that point, the corpsman field became my consolation prize. But it only took me a few weeks to realize that I hadn't been the one to lose. I had picked one of the greatest fields of all. So the rest is history. I became a corpsman, worked with the Medical Service Corps officers, and knew without a doubt that I would become one someday. Those of you that know me pretty well know that I'm an emotional person. Okay. Through the years, I've had some great and amazing experiences that give me great joy to recall. I was an EMT and saved many lives. I swam in the port of San Diego with the Navy's training dolphins. I spent a year on Paradise Island, otherwise known as Diego Garcia, where I met my husband, Tony. I won prizes as a contestant on the Price is Right show. I went on a deployment to the Persian Gulf and skied down the mountains of Bridgeport with full heavy gear on. Okay. There have been other great experiences, but a greater joy for me to recall are the people I've served with and the impacts they've made in my life. I want to mention a few of the people who have made significant impacts for which I will always be indebted. There's more people here than I have listed, and I just want to thank you for being here. So first we have Hospital Corpsman Senior Chief Bill Pertuzza, retired. Bill was my first leading petty officer or supervisor in the Navy. You taught me that you can have fun at work while still doing a great job. It was a little scary when I first reported to him. My friend Gina and I went to the hospital and checked in, and we didn't realize that you had to check in the morning, and we were kind of like taking a late day, and she sent someone to our room to come pick us up, but it all got better from there. So thank you for your friendship over the past 25 years. Regina. Then there's Hospital Corpsman Senior Chief retired Moyer Hall, his wife Sylvia Hall, and Regina Morris, their daughter. Moyer was my first chief in the Navy. I couldn't have asked for a better chief to work for. During our time in the office, okay, so I recalled typing naval letters for him, and I'd submit them to him for review. And when I say I typed the letters, I mean there was a typewriter, and you had a piece of paper, and you had to turn it in, get everything aligned. And I'd be proud of that document as soon as I got done with it, and put it in a folder, give it to him. And as soon as I got to his desk, he'd open up the folder, whip it out. Out came his ruler, and he would make sure that there are 1-inch margins on the left, 1-inch margins on the right. So those of you that know how particular I am about the job that I do, I want to blame your father, Regina. But you know what? I am proud that I have that quality. So he taught me attention to detail and how to take pride in my work. I left the command knowing how to get the job done that I was doing and to do it right. Moyer and Sylvia treated me like a party family. It even felt like Regina was my sister. I've appreciated your friendship over the last 25 years. Amazing that I've known these people this long. And we're so close. Okay. Okay, ladies of the hospital. Donna, Mindy, and Carol. Thank you both. Thank you all three for coming. I've known you guys forever. The hospital. If you look at my plate, I don't think I listed my duty stations of the program, but once you see the CHS, you'll see, I've been at the hospital quite a bit here in San Diego. It's like my home away from home. And, you guys were always there for me, like my best friends at the hospital. Whenever I go to the hospital, I always make sure that I go by and say hello, give you a hug, kiss on the cheek. You guys are very special to me, and whenever I've needed something at the hospital, I could always call you, and you're always there for me. Thank you. Okay, now the ladies of Manpower. May, Army, and Val. My Manpower ladies. I learned so much from working with you, and you've always been there for me over the years, and you two have offered me anything that I've needed. May, where's May? May make it? No. She was the first person that watched you, Nick, when you were an infant, and let me and your father have our first break as a parent. We needed it. We still need it, May. So if anyone wants to let her know. You know, I couldn't imagine anyone safer than entrusting her with my newborn. Gabe, did you make it? He got lost on the way, I think. So, Senior Chief, Hospital Corpsman Gabe Cruz. I've known you since my early days in Diego Garcia, where I met my husband, Tony. And, you know, Tony and I know Gabe, and I don't know how, but Tony and Gabe always end up coming across each other out in town at the hardware store. We worked together also at the Naval School of Health Sciences. I want to thank you for helping me to expand my clinical skills as a corpsman in your friendship for so long. Is Carl Tresnak here? Can you make it? No. I just want to say something about Carl. We worked many late nights during the Desert Shield, Desert Storm campaign, mobilizing the reservists. I was pregnant with my big old belly, Nick, with you in there. And I was under constant fear that my husband, a CB, was going to be deployed for this big war. He would call every day and say, okay, we're going, they're calling us in. And then I get home and it's like, no, they canceled it. And then the next day he'd do the same thing, so everything was up and down. So working with someone as pleasant as Carl and caring as he was made those tough times easier for me. He also gave me an endorsement for my commissioning package, and so he was a big part of helping me get to where I am now. Thank you for your friendship over the years and for helping me to become an officer. Mark Bowman, let's see, make it. So I got a story about Mark here. He was helping me behind the scenes before I even knew him. So I submitted my package to be an MSC officer, and got it commissioned, and that day was May 18th, 1998, and I was on cloud 9. I was elated. I couldn't be happier. I knew that the drive in me had gotten me to where I wanted to be. So May 18th, I got commissioned. May 20th, I get a phone call in my office, and I answered the phone. Hello, this is Ensign Serrano. And she said, I don't know. And I said, what? And she's like, I don't know if you're going to be able to say that. I'm sorry. I've got some bad news for you. You're not qualified to be an MSC officer. And I said, what? She's like, just let me fax it and then we can talk later. So she faxed me this paperwork. I'll read you a little bit of it. It's from the Chief Bureau of Medicine and Surgery. Subject, physical qualification for commissioning in the United States Navy in care of Patricia Serrano. Based on a review of medical information, subject applicant does not, does not is in these big capital letters, meet established physical standards due to status post PRK surgery, recent December 1997. A waiver of physical standards is not recommended. Okay. Cloud 9, down to the bottom. So what happened was I had PRK surgery December 1997. When you submit your commissioning package, it goes through a screening, a medical screening first, and what they do is they toss aside all the packages that don't qualify. The stars aligned the year that I went through. It'll become apparent in a minute. And they forgot to do the screening first. So they put all these packages in front of the selection board, and by the grace of God, I was selected. What happened was they had quite a few applicants that were not selected, or that went through the same problem with me as I did, and we were in limbo for about 2.5 weeks. Finally, on the 6th of June, I get a letter faxed to my office, and on that waiver, Commander Mark Bowman was listed as the point of contact. Tony Cardinelli, my boss at the time, told me that Mark Bowman would come through for me, and he certainly did. So from that experience, I've learned that even letters telling you no, in all capital letters, does not necessarily mean no. So for some of you who know that I'm a bulldog sometimes and won't let things go, maybe this had something to do with it. Over the years, Mark has been an amazing mentor and always looking out for my career and helping me seek out opportunities. Thank you for taking care of me. Without you, I sincerely believe that I would not be where I am today. Captain Pat Denzer, thank you for being here. You were my DFA at the hospital, and you were truly the driving force to get me my master's degree program at San Diego State. These programs are only available once a year, and as usual, I was all involved in work and, life and too busy to get it put together. And I said, next year, I'll have time. I'll just take a little time and I'll get my package together next year. And she looked at me and said, that will not happen. You will get your package together and you will go to San Diego State. She's shaking her head, yes. That's exactly what she said to me. So she was the driving force behind that. And, getting my master's degree is one of the major accomplishments in my career. So thank you for that push. I still remember, though, you were in cahoots with Jim Fitzpatrick. All right, I have to share a personal story. It wasn't in here. Okay. I think maybe I might have told a couple of you before. So this is how I used to work at the hospital. Skirt and heels. It wasn't until I joined the fleet area that I actually started wearing pants. And I would buy the shoes that were like really, really soft, and I had multiple shoes. So one day I'm sitting in Jim Fitzpatrick, his office. We're sitting there talking, and he's behind his desk, and I'm sitting at in the chair. And he looks at me. He's like, "What's wrong with your feet?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Stand up." So I stood up. I had come to work with two left shoes on. So he called Pat Denzer and said, "She wants to come see you." And they were trying to get me to walk through the courtyard with two left shoes on, because at that point it became very uncomfortable. I didn't realize it until that moment. And I'm like, I have to go home and change. Please stop. I got to go home and change, so thank you for allowing me to go home and change. Commander Jeff Bitterman, you were an amazing boss. We had special times on with Fleet Surgical Team 3. I will always remember the times we spent developing the medical plans for Pacific Partnership. We don't always air the dirty laundry, but we spent some really hectic times getting that thing coordinated. We had the H1N1 outbreak just as we were wrapping up our final planning conference. So we had everything, worked hard, late hours. I think there were some times that we were on the phone in the middle of the night, and Tony's like comes and finds us on the phone, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I remember one night I did not sleep all night because we were getting it ready. I'm like, I got to get this done, and Jeff, you're just like I am. We just truly drove through that. So our final planning conference, they took away our ship to Dubuque, and our final planning conference became our initial planning conference. We started all over again, and that was quite the challenge. And you were an inspiration to me with your calm demeanor and your ability to solve all problems during that time. Thank you. Captain John LaFavor. For many years, I didn't even know you were in the Navy, not to mention a Medical Service Corps officer. Our paths finally crossed at ACHE. When I saw that name, I'm like, oh, I know a John LaFavor. Could that be him? And I kept going around to different people. What's he look like? What's he look like? I got to find this guy. Found out, yes, it truly is you. And I was so proud to tell other people how we had played band together back in high school. And I'm so proud of what you've become. And you were truly an inspiration to me along these years. I've looked up to you. And knowing that has made me a better officer. Okay, we're close to getting the end here. Lieutenant Commander Ben Dalton and Dan Hurley, with your partnership, we were able to achieve a huge success this year during RIMPAC by completing the largest humanitarian and disaster assistance relief exercise in the world. About 2 years planning in that. We overcame huge obstacles, and I wouldn't have succeeded without your help. I will always cherish the friendship that developed from working with both of you. Okay. I need to get in. Someone that's not here with us today, Commander Jim Fitzpatrick. He was the last boss. I think that fit me, but if it our life and staying in San Diego, so I accepted the orders to the Marines and went down, met the executive officer, and was like this close to buying my cami uniforms to go with the Marines. Steve McGivern calls me and says, "Hey, how would you like a job at 3rd Fleet? I think you'd be great for it." I said, "That's great. You got to call my detailer though, because he'll call me." He says, "I am going with the Marines." He did. That man called my detailer, arranged for me to be here, and please tell him that I thank him for his intervention and working with my detailer to make this my last duty station. So there's my Third Fleet family. So many of you have taken the time to teach me so many things that go beyond what a medical person normally needs to know. There's a saying that I use a lot, and it's medical needs to get out of their bubble to better serve the fleet. My fleet friends have helped me bust my own bubble, and I've been witness to many other bubbles bursting along the way, and it gives me great pleasure to be part of that cause. I have such an immense desire to make improvements in the medical world for the fleet, and with your patience and generosity, together we have made a difference. Today, I'm sorry to be leaving my three amigo friends, and at the death of our amigo legend, Lisa and Amy. Thank you for being good friends and for helping me have some fun during RIMPAC during a really hectic time. I wasn't the one that instigated anything.
Yes, she was, sir.
Let me find my place. Okay, Smooth, my running partner. Keep running. Even though I'm not here to run with you anymore, Tony, and I'll still see you at the races. Also important to me is my family who have been there for me over the years. One of the difficult aspects of military life is that it takes you away from your family back home. I've been lucky to have close family by here. Jill, Scott, Marilyn, and Ron, and Tessa and Jack, who aren't here today. You made being away from home less painful, and I've enjoyed the celebrations that we've had together over the years. I also want to mention how special my family has been to me, not only to my career, but to my life. My mom, my dad, who's no longer with us, my brother Adam, who's here, and my brother Adrian, who's home, expecting a baby soon. They've been such a blessing to me. I love how close we all are, and have always been that way. We have such a loving kinship that I can only wish families could have as well. Thank you for being a supporter of my career and for cheering me along the way. If there's one thing I could have changed in the past 26 years, it would have been to take more vacations home, or to at least encourage you to get here more often. Nick and Tony, life hasn't always been easy for you during my career. I spent many years going to school and many more working late hours away from home. I was away for a 7-month deployment, and you both had to manage in ways that only other military families can understand. Thank you for always being there to support me and celebrating my accomplishments. Again, if I could have changed anything in my career, it would have been to be home more with you. I love you both very much. and I'm excited to be transitioning to a life that hopefully keeps me home more with you. Unless you need me to be gone. We'll talk about that later. This is it. It's almost over now. All these years, I thought luck or fate had been driving me to my destiny with the coin toss and, sailor coming up and all those other things. With the way I ended up in the Navy, to the hospital corpsman rating, to the Bears duty stations, I've realized that God has had a hand in my life and chose each of those paths for me. He brought me to locations around the world where I feel life has been enriched by experiencing unique cultures. He put me in the right place at the right time to have amazing experiences. And best of all, he brought all of you into my life to help me be a better person. The time has gone by so quickly. Okay, maybe not so quickly now for you after the speech, but after reflecting on those years, I understand why time felt like it went by in a flash. It happens when you're doing something you enjoy immensely with the people whom you care about deeply on a personal level. Thank you all for standing with me during these 26 years.
Flag detail, post. Ladies and gentlemen, the members of the flag passing detail before you represent Lieutenant Commander Serrano's progression through the ranks from hospitalman recruit to lieutenant commander. The flag that will be presented is a fitting tribute to her heritage, upbringing, and career, and was flown over her previous duty stations.
Detail. Oh.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of learning, and I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. I stand for peace, honor, truth, justice, integrity. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with other banners, I stand out. My color is a little truer. I am recognized all over the world. I am honored. I am saluted. I am respected. I am revered. I am loved, and I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, the jungles of Guam, Okinawa, Tarawa, Korea, Vietnam, in the heat of the Arabian Gulf, Afghanistan, and Iraq, and a score of places long forgotten by all but those who were there with me. I was there. I led my sailors and Marines. I followed them. I watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-torn, and tired, but my sailors and Marines cheered me, and I was proud. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of the countries that I have helped to set free. It does not hurt, for I am invincible. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country. But that right of free speech is the one of very many I protect. I will never cower before any master, nor bend to any threat. I have slipped the surly bonds of earth, and from my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space. I have been a silent witness to all of America's finest hours. But my final hour comes when I am torn into strips to be used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the field of battle. When when I fly at half-mast to honor my sailors and Marines, and when I am presented at the graveside of a fallen son or daughter, I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave. Long may I wave. Flag detail. Post.
Detail. Forward. Mark.
Commander Reed and Commander Garvey will now present Lieutenant Commander Serrano with her retirement shadow box in her sea chest. According to some accounts of naval history and tradition, when a sailor retires and is departing the ship for the last time, it is considered bad luck for the sailor's shadow to touch land before he or she does. Thus, the sailor's shipmates would construct a sturdy box, handcrafted of the finest materials, in which to display mementos of the sailor's accomplishments, thereby symbolically creating a shadow of the sailor. The box safely contains the sailor's shadow, or in this case, Oliver, until he or she is safely ashore, at which time the shadow box can be given to the sailor in a presentation ceremony. On behalf of your fellow shipmates, we present you with this shadow box contained within your sea chest. Within the shadow box lie your most honored and cherished possessions, representing a lifetime of valiant and faithful service. For 26 years, this shipmate stood the watch. While some of us were in our bunks at night or in a school learning our trade, this shipmate stood the watch. Before some of us were even born, this shipmate stood the watch. In past years, when the storm clouds of war were seen brewing on the horizon and the United States Navy was there on the front line, this shipmate stood the watch. Many times she would cast her eye ashore and see her family standing there, needing her guidance and help, needing that hand to hold during those hard times, and still she stood the watch. She stood the watch 26 years so that we, you, our families, and our fellow countrymen could sleep safely and securely each and every night, knowing that this woman somewhere in the world stood the watch. Today, we are here to say to Lieutenant Commander Serrano, the watch stands relieved. Relieved by all the men and women you guided, led, and trained. We who remain have the watch. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as Chaplain Hinson will now offer the benediction.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, we're so grateful for the adventures of the past. They shape us for the things that are yet to come. We ask your special blessings upon Patty and Tony and all whose lives are closely linked with theirs, especially their son Nick. May they ever have fair winds and following seas as they embark on new adventures in citizenship and service to you and this great nation. May each of us whose lives have been touched by theirs and by this moment in time be inspired as we return to the work you have given us to do, that we may in turn be a blessing to others, now and always. All for your love's sake we pray. Amen.
Bosun, stand by to pipe the side. Shipmate going ashore. Lieutenant Commander Serrano will now request permission to go ashore.
Go. Come with me. Let's go.
Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy, retired, and family departing. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. On behalf of Lieutenant Commander Serrano and her family, Thank you for attending today's ceremony. The Serrano family cordially invites you to join them in the reception area to begin immediately in the courtyard.